Chapter 1. I was jolted awake from a sound sleep by the ringing of my phone. I rubbed my eyes and saw that it was an unfamiliar number. I glanced at the time, 2:30 a.m., with obvious irritation. I answered the call. "Who is this? Calling in the middle of the night? You'd better have a damn good reason." There was silence on the other end. Just as I was about to hang up, "Alex, it's been 3 years. No matter how angry you were, it should be gone by now. Can you come back, please?" A woman's voice came through the phone, gentle and melodious. "You've got the wrong number." I hung up before she could say anything else. Who was calling so late? A soft, sweet voice sounded beside me. "Wrong number," I said. I leaned over and kissed the woman next to me on the forehead, coaxing her back to sleep. But I couldn't fall asleep again no matter how hard I tried. I wasn't surprised at all that she knew my new contact information. After all, she was the Koo family's eldest daughter, someone with influence everywhere. Finding me was nothing to her, but according to what I thought, she should have already been with her childhood sweetheart, the Song family's eldest son. Besides, with her naturally proud personality, she had never lowered her head to anyone. Even when the Song family's eldest son abandoned her and went abroad back then, she had agreed to break up without even batting an eye. While my thoughts were running wild, a soft arm wrapped around me and pulled me into a warm embrace. "What are you overthinking about? Go to sleep already." I stopped thinking, hugged my wife, and finally fell asleep. The one who called was my ex-girlfriend, Tiffany, beautiful, aloof, and proud. Just like her name, she was the widely known heir of the Wanseng group, and I, since childhood, had been the Koo family's adopted son. I had grown up alongside Tiffany. To put it bluntly, I was more or less her constant companion at school. She was born with a classic spoiled young lady temper. When she lost her temper, no one could calm her down, except for 3 men. The first was her grandfather. That old man doted on his granddaughter excessively. When she was little, she practically grew up sitting on his shoulders. The second was her childhood sweetheart, Simon Song. The Koo and Song families were both powerful clans and had been close for generations, so they interacted frequently. Every time Tiffany saw Simon, she was full of enthusiasm, her eyes sparkling like little stars. The elders of both families often jokingly referred to each other as in-laws, laughing that sooner or later the two families would become one. The third person was me. I was different from the first two. When they appeared, Tiffany would calm down, but I was the one who could actually resolve the source of her anger. Perhaps as long as I was by her side, there would be nothing for her to be angry about at all. The dynamic among the three of us was always the same. Tiffany chased after Simon, and I chased behind them, carrying their things. Up until high school, we all got along fairly well, but once high school started, the Koo family arranged for me to train more physically after classes, practicing all kinds of combat skills. From that point on, I gained a new role, Tiffany Koo's bodyguard. Because of the constant training, I developed quickly. I was tall, well-built, with defined muscles, and undeniably handsome. That made Simon uncomfortable. He would often pick on me intentionally or unintentionally, and whenever Tiffany went to spend time with Simon, in order to keep him happy, I could only prepare everything the two of them needed and hand it over to Tiffany. Then I would quietly wait outside, or somewhere not too far away, until they were done. After that, I would take the things back from Tiffany's hands, and we would go home together. Chapter 2. Whenever that happened, before meals she would tell the chef to make a few extra dishes that I liked. At night, she would take out her favorite snacks and give me half, treating it as a way to placate me. Honestly, I never felt bad about the two of them being together, because I had never once thought that there would be any kind of future between her and me. Even though her family treated me like their own child, I knew my place. If something didn't belong to me, I wouldn't dare to covet even a fraction of it. And so, the two of us entered university together. During the holidays, in order for me to take better care of Tiffany, her parents arranged for several nationally renowned master chefs to give me special training for an entire summer. Other students spent their vacations doing homework. I spent mine cooking. All because Tiffany wasn't used to being attended to by anyone else. She only allowed me to take care of her personally. So whatever hobbies she had, I had to study them thoroughly and do them well, because I wasn't just good-looking but also talented in many ways. A lot of female seniors and juniors at the university confessed their feelings to me. At first, Tiffany treated it like entertainment. Every time, she would laugh and say she'd help me give advice and screen them. Until one night, when a girl used a coordinated drone display to confess to me, Tiffany rushed over immediately, saying she wanted to see who could pull off such a grand gesture. The moment she saw who it was, her expression changed abruptly. "I don't approve of this." With that, she grabbed me and dragged me away. "Hey, I think she's actually pretty good." I had no idea where she got that much strength from. Mid-sentence, she had already pulled me to a deserted spot. Smack. A crisp slap landed on my face. I covered my cheek and stared at her in a daze. This was the first time she had ever hit me. "You think that kind of trash is good? You're really just a guy who thinks with his hormones. Sure, she has some looks, but haven't you heard that the CEO of the education group this university belongs to is having an affair with her? That man is old enough to be her father. She's probably pregnant and looking for some sucker to take the fall. Tiffany's face was twisted with agitation as she spoke. I felt she probably wasn't lying. After all, she had always been good to me. She was likely just afraid I'd get deceived and suffer a loss. And I remembered the opening ceremony at the start of the semester. That girl really had been with the school's top executives that day. She was so beautiful that there was no way I could have mistaken her. From that day on, Tiffany never allowed me to accept anyone else's confession. You're still young. You should focus on your studies. Once you're successful, what kind of woman wouldn't you be able to find? Even if you start dating now, you'll break up by graduation anyway, just wasting years of feelings. But aren't you doing just fine with Simon? Don't you need to focus on your studies? I muttered back unwillingly. Oh, got some nerve now. Huh? You dare meddle in my business? Can you even compare yourself to me? Even if I only graduated from kindergarten, I'd still be more accomplished than you. Besides, Simon is just fine. If you talk back to me again, I'll skin you alive. It's late, get lost and go rest. With every sentence, she lightly smacked the back of my head, and at the end she even kicked me once. Still, from that day onward, she started seeing Simon less and less. Later, arguments gradually began to appear. By the time graduation approached, Simon went abroad to study, and the two of them ended things. As for Tiffany and me, there was one time when she attended a gathering with her close girlfriends and got completely drunk. I took care of her as I always did. After placing her on the bed, she suddenly wrapped her arms around me, her eyes unfocused as she looked at me. Alex, stay with me. Chapter 3. Looking at the woman in front of me, beautiful as a celestial being, I said, Tiffany, you've had too much to drink. I can't take advantage of you like this. I'm not drunk. I know you're Alex. I just want you to stay with me. As she spoke, she had already pulled me toward her. Maybe it was youthful impulsiveness. Maybe it was the emotions I had suppressed for nearly 20 years finally breaking free. All I knew was that night I was completely out of control. And she was deeply immersed as well, nothing like someone who was so drunk she didn't know what she was doing. The next morning, I was prepared to face Tiffany's fury. What scared me most was realizing that she was still inexperienced, something she had kept even after all those years with Simon, and I had taken it from her. How much must she hate me for that? But when she woke up, she didn't explode at all. Instead, she acted spoiled, saying she was hungry and wanted the small wontons I made for breakfast. I felt an overwhelming sense of relief, like I had survived a disaster, and immediately went to make them for her. From that point on, we moved in together. We were still inseparable. Just like before, there was no confession, no public announcement, but we were sleeping together. So in my mind, that naturally meant we were a couple. Just when I felt our relationship was getting better and better, and I had already picked out a ring, ready to propose to her, Simon came back. I remember that day very clearly. As usual, we had breakfast early in the morning. After I got myself ready and was about to head out with Tiffany like always, she stopped me just as I was about to open the door. Alex, today I'm getting together with my girlfriends. You don't need to come. I froze for a moment. Every time she met up with her close friends, I was always by her side. Not only that, I handled all the food and logistics for their gatherings. Seeing my expression, she walked over and kissed me lightly. We agreed today, no male companions. Be good and wait for me at home. I'll bring you a gift. I'll bring you a gift. That was a code only the two of us understood. Every time she needed me, she would bring me a gift. Over the years, the gifts I had received could already fill an entire room. Having grown up with her since childhood, I could tell she was lying today. From early that morning, she had been unconsciously brushing her hair back, a habit she only had when she was nervous. And that kiss was perfunctory. She left in a hurry, which didn't match her usual composed personality. She had never hidden anything from me before. Instantly, I felt a bad premonition. That premonition came true by evening. Through a post on one of her girlfriend's social feeds, Simon was back. In the video, he was sitting close to Tiffany. The two of them were chatting and laughing, clearly hitting it off. Tiffany placed peeled prawns onto a plate and set it in front of Simon. She loved eating shrimp, but she had never peeled them herself. I was always the one who did it for her. If no one helped her, she would rather not eat them at all. She once said that peeling shrimp or crab was beneath her. Fiddling around for ages just to get a tiny bit of meat was embarrassing. And yet now, she was doing exactly what she once found contemptible, and she was smiling so brightly. It was past 11 at night when she finally came home, reeking of alcohol. She wasn't very drunk, but it was obvious she was in a good mood. I went over and helped her sit down on the sofa, then heated up the hangover soup I had prepared in advance and placed it in front of her. After she finished drinking it, she wrapped her arms around my neck and said coquettishly, "Let's go wash up together. I have a gift for you. I've already showered." Chapter 4. Just wash with me one more time. In the end, I was still dragged in by her. From that day on, she needed me by her side less and less. My role gradually shifted from being out in the open to staying behind the scenes. All I had to do was prepare everything she would need for the day, and after that, there was basically nothing left for me to do. Without her, I didn't even know where I could go. Once, I was feeling so suffocated that I got into the car and drove out just to clear my head. Yes, literally just drove around the city once and then came back. I had no friends here. The only people I knew were all her friends. From what I could see in her friends' social posts, Tiffany had been spending these days with Simon and their group of friends. Everything looked like normal interactions between friends, until one day, when I went out to buy some daily necessities from afar in the supermarket, I saw two familiar figures, Tiffany and Simon. They were pushing a shopping cart, walking shoulder to shoulder like a couple, occasionally reaching out to grab things from the shelves. To avoid an awkward encounter, I quickened my pace and moved to the other side of the aisle, walking parallel to them. Tiffany, I've been back for a while now. I think things have been pretty good between us lately. Why don't you come over to my place tonight? Let's start over. Okay. It was Simon's voice. Tiffany didn't answer. So you're already with that orphan? Huh? Tiffany, how could an orphan ever be worthy of you? If this gets out, you'll become a laughingstock in our circle. That's enough. Simon. Tiffany cut him off. Today's a happy day. Don't keep bringing up things that ruin the mood. I'm glad you're back this time, but the way you left back then was too heartless. I can't accept it so easily yet. Tiffany was a smart woman. She wasn't the type to lose her head just because an ex came back. Just like with her feelings toward me, I knew how dependent she was on me, but she considered many things. There had been several times when I subtly hinted at proposing, only for her to gently turn me down. So she was a very rational person. When it came to relationships, she could treat them like business, always choosing the best option. Or perhaps she simply didn't care about romance at all, with her heart fully devoted to her career. I'll wait for you, Tiffany. I know I was wrong back then. Please give me a chance. I have the patience to wait until the day you accept me again. All right. Tiffany interrupted him. After we check out, let's call Luna and the others. Same place as usual. Let's keep the party going. After paying, the two of them got into the car and drove away. I abandoned the shopping cart where it was. I didn't want any of the items I had picked out anymore. I skipped lunch and checked into a hotel instead. Lying on the bed, I kept asking myself, would Tiffany forgive him and get back together with him? My answer was yes. It was only a matter of time, because I had seen how deeply Tiffany had loved him before, and I also knew how much she relied on my care. In the past, she had always stood up for me. Once, her closest girlfriend made a joke about me, and Tiffany gave her the cold shoulder for days, until that friend personally apologized to me. Now, for Simon's sake, she no longer needed me to stay by her side all the time. She could sense that my mood had been low lately, but she simply didn't have the energy to juggle everything at once. Between managing the company and considering the feelings of two men, she just couldn't handle it all anymore. Chapter 5. I don't even know when I fell asleep. I was woken in the middle of the night by my phone ringing. It was Tiffany. Alex, why aren't you at home? Her tone was as gentle as ever. Her temper was famously bad, but from childhood to now, the number of times she had truly lost her temper at me could be counted on one hand. I steadied my emotions and replied, I've been feeling a bit suffocated staying at home these past few days, so I went out traveling to clear my head. Everything you'll need for the next few days is already prepared, same place as always. There was a brief silence on the other end. Is it because I've been neglecting you lately? Alex, there have been some tricky things I need to deal with. Once I'm done, it'll be fine. Can you endure it for a few more days? Okay. That kind of coaxing tone, from the Koo family's eldest daughter, was probably something even her parents had never witnessed. Knowing she was willing to lower herself like this for me, the gloom that had weighed on me all day instantly lifted. Don't overthink it. We're all adults, there's no need to stick together all the time. Having some personal space isn't a bad thing. When I get back, I'll bring you a gift. I even helped her come up with an excuse. The moment she heard the word gift, she understood immediately and laughed. She chatted with me for quite a while longer, reminding me to take good care of myself, telling me that if I saw anything I liked while I was out, I should just buy it and not worry about the money. It wasn't until I reminded her that she still had work the next day that she reluctantly hung up. After that, I picked up my phone and ordered a huge spread of takeout. I hadn't eaten properly for 2 meals. Earlier I had no appetite at all, but now I was starving. Since I had already said I was traveling, I could only stay at the hotel for a few more days. I had planned to stay for a whole week, but by the 3rd day, I couldn't take it anymore. I tossed and turned on the bed all day, suffering in silence, until night finally came and I made up my mind to go back. I took the package that had arrived that afternoon, didn't call her, and went straight home. The lights were on, Tiffany was back. I opened the door and went in, but didn't see anyone. She must have gone to bed already. I walked to the bedroom, my hand just resting on the doorknob, when I heard voices coming from inside. Oh right, Tiffany, are you really planning to keep Simon's return a secret from Alex forever? This kind of thing can't be hidden sooner or later. Don't tell me you actually want to marry Alex. Sure, Alex looks good, he's gentle, and his love for you is way stronger than Simon's. But I'll say this honestly, don't get mad. No matter how you put it, Alex is still just an orphan. Keeping him around to dote on is one thing, but making him a live-in husband, forget it. Marrying into the Song family is the only way you'll get what you want. The one speaking was Tiffany's close friend, Luna. This time, Tiffany didn't refute her. She silently accepted the fact that, in Luna's words, I was an orphan. I haven't figured out how to talk to Alex yet, Tiffany said, her voice full of conflict. I'm afraid he won't be able to accept it. We've been together since we were old enough to remember. I still can't bear the thought of him getting hurt. He won't be able to accept it. He's an orphan who's enjoyed so many years of privilege living with your family. What right does he have to say he can't accept it? I think you're just too good to him. And honestly, it's not like I'm saying this to criticize you, but in our circle, who doesn't have a few boy toys on the side? These past few nights, I've only been keeping you company because I felt sorry for you. Otherwise, I'd be sleeping with my own boy toy right now. I'm not interested in that kind of man, Tiffany said firmly. In my entire life, I've only ever loved two men. Before, it was Simon. Now, it's Alex. One is my childhood sweetheart, my first love, the one I've liked since I was young. I don't even know why, but every time I see him, I just want to treat him well. The other is Alex, the one who's taken care of me in every possible way since childhood. He always understands what I'm thinking. I truly believe he's the person who treats me best in this world. Chapter 6. There's a famous quote by the well-known actor Tony Leon Kfai, my dog bites everyone except me, because I raised him. Alex being good to you is the same logic. To put it bluntly, it's just a nanny's job. If one nanny isn't enough, then hire a few more. Alright. Anyway, Alex won't be back for a few more days. Let's stop thinking about it and go to sleep. The voices in the room disappeared, and my heart hung in my chest once again. So Tiffany had already made her choice. She was just figuring out how to make me accept being kept on the side. In the end, I don't even know how I made it back to the hotel. When the front desk saw that I had just checked out and was checking in again, spending 2 days worth of money in one day, the look in their eyes clearly said rich and foolish. I stayed at the hotel for a few more days, until Tiffany called to ask why I still hadn't come back. I knew then that she had figured out how to talk to me. I told her I was already on my way and would be home soon. She sent me an address. It was the Ehe hotel they often went to. When I arrived at the private room, I realized there were a lot of people there today. Almost all of her close friends were present, Simon included. The two of them stood together, surrounded by the crowd. The lively atmosphere instantly fell silent the moment I appeared. Alex, why are you only getting here now? Tiffany pushed through the crowd and walked over to me. Today is the day your brother-in-law confessed to me. Congratulate us. Those expressive eyes of hers seemed to be telling me to behave myself. I had imagined countless ways she might finally lay everything out in the open, but I never expected it to be this simple and brutal. I froze for a moment, then immediately put on a smile. Congratulations, sister and brother-in-law. Wishing you an early marriage, a lifetime of harmony. Only I knew what it felt like to say those words to the woman I loved. Simon was very polite as well, and the party soon returned to its cheerful atmosphere. After the drinking session ended, Tiffany told me to take her home, saying that since we hadn't seen each other for so many days, she had a gift for me. She then grabbed my hand, said goodbye to everyone, and headed out. Tiffany, aren't you coming back with me tonight? Simon stopped us, his gaze landing on our joined hands. Tiffany naturally let go. My family rules are strict. Before marriage, my parents won't allow me to stay out overnight. That's also being responsible to you. Then she leaned close to his ear and whispered, we've got a long future ahead of us, why rush? What you should do first is come to my family to formally propose. Simon gently patted her shoulder. In a few days, I'll pick an auspicious date and go. Then he turned to me. Take good care of your sister. I smiled and told him not to worry. The moment we walked out, I dropped the smile. Once we were in the car, neither of us spoke. After driving for a while, Tiffany was the first to break the silence. Alex, don't you have anything you want to ask? She studied my expression from the passenger seat. It was the first time I had ever heard guilt in her voice. What do you want me to ask? I replied calmly. Once you've made a decision, does it even matter whether I ask or not? Alex, you've always understood me. I hope this time, you will too. After that, neither of us said another word. When we got home and finished washing up, I prepared to go stay in the guest room, but she grabbed my wrist. Didn't you say you had a gift for me when we got back? She looked at me with affectionate eyes. I pulled my hand back. This isn't appropriate anymore. Chapter 7. So you do care about this after all. Alex, wouldn't it be better if you just stayed by our side like before, forever? This is only a marriage of alliance. I can't give you a title, but to me, you've always been special. So, I'm just a very special Keptman. I let out a quiet laugh. I won't allow you to talk about yourself like that. Before I could finish, she covered my mouth with her hand. I smiled. She wouldn't let me say it, but she was perfectly fine making me be it. I still can't wrap my head around things. Tonight's gift is cancelled. With that, I turned and went into the guest room. Over the next few days, I continued playing my old role perfectly. When Simon came to formally propose, I was busy cooking and entertaining the guests at the engagement banquet. As someone from her side of the family, I ran around handling everything inside and out. I kept telling myself that once I escorted her out the door into marriage, I would have repaid the Koo family's kindness in full. When I left after that, I wouldn't feel guilty anymore. But being someone's Keptman, that was something I would never accept. 1 month before their wedding, I drove Tiffany and Luna to the hospital. I wanted to go in with them, but they stopped me, saying it was just a premarital full-body checkup, and that it wasn't appropriate for a man to follow along. Later, by chance, I saw the paperwork. Tiffany wasn't there for a checkup. She was there for a restorative surgery. I had already decided to leave, yet my chest still felt heavy. That night, I drove out alone with no destination in mind, eventually ending up on a bridge far from the city center. Hardly anyone ever came here. I walked up to the railing, faced the dark river below, and shouted at the top of my lungs, "Aya!" letting out all the grievance and bitterness I had swallowed these days. "Help! Someone up there! Help me!" A woman's cry for help came from beneath the bridge. I rushed down immediately and saw 4 burly men surrounding a woman who was tightly bound. Most of her clothes had already been torn apart. If I had arrived even a moment later, the consequences would have been unimaginable. When the men saw me, they threw the woman aside and glared at me viciously, warning me not to meddle. I smiled. Finally, somewhere to vent my anger. 10 minutes later, all 4 men were lying on the ground, wailing in pain. I called the police. They were taken away, and both the woman and I were brought in for questioning. Before getting into the police car, I took off my jacket and draped it over her shoulders. By the time we left the station, it was already deep into the night. I drove her home. Her family lived in a high-end villa district. "It's pretty late. Why don't you stay at my place tonight?" she suggested. I was exhausted and didn't decline. The servants and the butler were clearly shocked when they saw her like that and hurried over to ask what had happened. After she briefly explained and had someone arrange a room for me, I went straight to sleep. The next morning, I woke up naturally. The butler led me to the dining table. Sitting there was a woman who, judging purely by looks, was even more beautiful than Tiffany. When she saw me, she greeted me warmly and jokingly called me her lifesaver. Only then did I realize that she was the woman I had rescued the night before. Still, she looked strangely familiar. As I stared at her, she smiled. "What? Do I look familiar to you? How did you know? Have we met before?" University campus. Drone confession. The moment she said those keywords, it all came rushing back. Seeing my awkward smile, she continued, "After you were dragged away by your girlfriend that day, I found out you already had one. Back then, you stood out in everything on campus, sports meets, performances. It made sense that you'd have such a great girlfriend." I didn't explain. To me, it had just been a small act of help. I hadn't taken it to heart, and I didn't think our lives would intersect again. There was no need to explain. Just then, a deep, steady voice sounded from behind us. "Avery, are you all right?" Dad dropped everything over there and flew back overnight. As the voice fell, a tall, broad-shouldered middle-aged man hurried over. Chapter 8. He grabbed the girl's hand and looked her over from head to toe, his eyes full of concern. "I'm really fine, Dad. Didn't I already tell you I was safe yesterday?" The girl threw herself into his arms and acted spoiled. "As long as you're all right, good, good. That driver, I'll make sure he lives a fate worse than death. And those accomplices, along with their families, will all pay the price." From his expression and tone, it was clear he wasn't someone to mess with. "Dad, we have a guest here," the girl quickly reminded him, probably afraid I'd be intimidated. "This is the person who saved me yesterday. We were chatting today and found out we're actually alumni." Her father was a very forthright man. He sincerely thanked me again and again. It was only then that I realized he was the chairman of the education group affiliated with our university. So back then, I had misunderstood things. After listening to Tiffany, I had wronged her. After we exchanged contact information, Tiffany called looking for me, and I went back. Her wedding date was approaching, and there were countless trivial matters to handle. I drove them around for wedding photos, buying wedding rings, booking hotels, and so on. Watching the girl I loved wearing such a blissful expression, my heart finally settled. Perhaps her best friend had been right all along. We were never from the same world. My status as an orphan had destined us to never truly be together. What she wanted, I couldn't give. What I could give, she could easily buy with money. To be honest, aside from the initial struggle to accept it, once I thought it through, I was able to let go. After all, her entire family had shown me great kindness, and Tiffany had truly been good to me. It was simply a case of fate without destiny. Soon enough, their wedding day arrived. The ceremony was grand and flawless. It wasn't until they entered the bridal chamber that I finally realized it was time for me to leave. I only took the savings I had accumulated over the years. I didn't take anything else. With money, there was nothing I couldn't buy. Then I blocked all contact information related to Tiffany and started traveling across the country to clear my mind. I just didn't expect to run into Tiffany's best friend, Luna. During my travels, she looked genuinely surprised to see me, nothing like before. When she used to look at me as if I owed her $8 million. We went to a restaurant together. Do you have any idea how crazy the Koo family went looking for you after you left? Especially Tiffany. The day after you disappeared, she found out you were gone. They even canceled their honeymoon plans. She's still searching everywhere for news about you. I took a sip of tea, expressionless, and didn't respond. To be honest, I'd never liked her, especially after overhearing the conversation between them. Seeing that I wasn't speaking, she stood up, sat down beside me, and smiled. So, are you planning to go back? I shook my head. I really didn't want to talk to her. The smile on her face grew even wider. I figured as much. You shouldn't go back anyway. Stick with me. I won't treat you badly. People say a boy toy can't compare to a wolfish bad boy. From now on, I'll make sure you're well taken care of. As she spoke, she reached out to touch my face. I swatted her hand away in one swift motion. Chapter 9. Luna. I heard everything you and Tiffany said at her house that day. I've always felt I never did anything to wrong you. Why did you keep provoking things between us again and again in front of her? After I finished speaking, she suddenly looked enlightened. So that's why you stopped talking to me afterward. The reason is simple, since I couldn't have her man. If I got her to dump you, wouldn't that mean I could have you instead? Honestly, what woman can stand seeing her best friend's boyfriend be better than her own? If there's anyone to blame, it's you for treating her too well. You made me jealous. She was always showing off in front of us how great you were. So if I couldn't get you, I'd rather destroy it. The cold, ruthless look in her eyes sent a chill through me. I threw out a single, "You're sick," then turned and ran without looking back. That woman was terrifying. After that, I went to South City. The scenery there was breathtaking, so beautiful it felt like it could cleanse the soul. After traveling around South City for half a month, I received a call from Avery. When she found out I was traveling, she asked for my location and flew over the very next day. Maybe it was because I'd been traveling alone for months. Seeing Avery again made me feel an unexpected sense of closeness. This time, she was dressed in travel gear, looking both beautiful and effortlessly cool. To welcome her, I bought a whole lamb from a local villager and roasted it myself. In the evening, with the gorgeous sunset before us, roasted lamb on the table, and strong liquor in hand, wow, it was simply perfect. I pulled off 2 lamb ribs, the best part, crispy skin and fragrant, juicy meat. Here, even though this place is remote, you came all this way. For your first meal, I had to make sure you eat well and eat your fill. Try it. How's my cooking? She took it and immediately took a big bite. This rich girl wasn't delicate at all. Speak like a human. It's so good. Back in university I already knew you were multi-talented. I just didn't expect you to be this good at cooking too. As she spoke, the 2 ribs were already gone. Slow down. No one's fighting you for it. I handed her the fresh goat's milk I'd bought. I want alcohol. She didn't take it and reached out for the liquor instead. You're a girl, drink less. She pursed her lips and shot me a look, then took the goat's milk anyway. You sound just like my dad. Oh, by the way, my dad had a really good impression of you after meeting you last time. He said when I got back, I should bring you to see him again. Your dad looks pretty intimidating though. Isn't he in education? Why does he look like he's from the underworld? I blurted out without thinking. You're the one who looks like a gangster. We chatted like that for a long time. Being with her felt easy and relaxed, genuinely happy. And just like that, we traveled together for more than 3 months, journeying across the country's magnificent landscapes. When I finally sent her home, she asked me to stay for a meal she cooked herself. It was simple, 4 dishes and a soup, but it tasted good. 1 bite was enough to tell she cooked regularly. I was really happy traveling with you this time. The day I called you, it was my birthday. My dad was out of town and couldn't be with me. I don't know why, but on impulse, you were the one I thought of. Alex, did that senior from university break up with you? She looked at me nervously. Why do you think that? I asked instead of answering. You hadn't called me for months. This trip of yours, wasn't it to heal from heartbreak? I smiled slightly. That was my answer. Chapter 10. Then, could you consider me? When she said that, her expression was completely natural, none of the usual shyness or hesitation of a young girl. I wasn't surprised. After all, she had confessed to me back in college. To be honest, spending this time with her had made me genuinely happy. She wasn't a domineering career woman like Tiffany, and being with her didn't come with that kind of pressure. She was also very caring. I realized that I had fallen in love with her. I nodded, then naturally pulled her into my arms. She smelled wonderful, her body soft and warm, Just like that, we got together. Not long after, we registered our marriage and held a wedding. One night, I received a call from Tiffany. I hung up using the excuse that she had dialed the wrong number. The next day, however, she showed up at my door. Avery opened it when Tiffany saw me behind her, eating breakfast. Her eyes instantly filled with tears. Avery invited her in politely, and Tiffany nodded courteously at her. There are some things I'd like to say to Alex. Is that all right? After several years apart, she had changed. She was no longer the hot-tempered, willful heiress she used to be. In the past, the moment the door opened, a slap might have already landed. Today, she was dressed beautifully, but she was thinner, looking haggard and tired. Avery came over and straightened my clothes. Some things should be talked through face to face. I'll wait for you at home. I squeezed her hand, signaling her not to worry. Then Tiffany took me to the place we used to live together. Everything there looked exactly the same as when I had left. Since you left, no outsiders have been here. I even did all the cleaning myself. I used to think my career was the most important thing in my life, until I turned around and could no longer see you waiting behind me like you always did. Only then did I realize that I truly couldn't live without you. I had grown used to everything you thoughtfully prepared for me. I used to think that everything you did for me was only natural. I took all your kindness for granted. You grew up by my side, like my shadow. How could a shadow ever leave its body? But you really did leave, and you took my soul with you. Watching her cry uncontrollably, I still couldn't help stepping forward to wipe away her tears. The woman I had loved for so many years, seeing her like this still made my heart ache. Look forward, not back. We both have someone we deeply love now. Holding on to the past wouldn't be fair to either of them. No. I don't love Simon. Maybe I had feelings for him when we were kids, but after he went abroad and came back during college, we were nothing more than a political marriage. It was only so I could smoothly take over the company. In fact, he has a woman overseas. He only comes back a few days a year to handle business. You're the only one in my heart. If you come back, I'll divorce him. I'll hand the entire coup group over to you. Nothing is more important to me than you now. You may not love Simon, I said calmly, but I deeply love my wife. The day before yesterday, we went to the hospital for a prenatal checkup. 3 months. The pregnancy is stable. Tiffany froze as if struck by lightning. Her mind went completely blank. She knew then, there was no longer any possibility between us. After a long silence, she spoke softly. Alex, cook for me one last time. I looked at her pleading eyes and agreed. Time slowly passed. Avery sat in front of the floor-to-ceiling window of the villa, watching the crimson sunset gradually fade into darkness. The light in her eyes dimmed little by little as well. Baby, was it wrong of Mommy to agree to let Daddy go out alone with that woman? She gently stroked her belly and murmured, Baby, the first time Mommy saw your dad in college, I fell for him. It was at the sports meet. The way he looked on the field, confident and radiant, was deeply etched into my heart. After that, I paid attention to him on purpose. He was talented in so many ways and so gentle. I finally worked up the courage to confess to him, but another girl dragged him away. I was heartbroken for a long time and thought we had missed our chance forever. Who would have thought that years later we'd meet again, because Mommy was kidnapped by our own driver working with outsiders, and your dad saved my life. Later, we traveled together. As we spent time together, I fell even more in love with him. After we came back, we got together, and then there was you. I believe your dad won't abandon us. Mommy and you. Wife, I'm back. Look what I brought you. I appeared in front of her, holding her favorite roasted lamb ribs. She slowly stood up and threw herself into my arms. Humph. I knew you wouldn't leave me and the baby. Did you clear everything up? She looked aggrieved, her eyes red. I set the food down and gently stroked her head. Yes, everything's been made clear. Our family will never be separated, no matter what. Tiffany, extra. Ever since I was little, my family adopted a companion for me. We grew up together from childhood. From the very beginning, he was taught that I always came first. I was spoiled and willful, constantly causing trouble from elementary school onward. Yet he always protected me perfectly, like my own little knight. But my little knight grew up day by day, turning into a tall, handsome young man. At school, many girls confessed to him. I never paid it much attention, because none of those girls ever caught my eye. Until one day, a girl used a drone display to confess to him. When I saw her, I panicked. For the first time, I felt a sense of crisis. At the time, I already had a boyfriend. But from that moment on, I forbade Alex from dating anyone, and for reasons I couldn't quite explain. My boyfriend and I began arguing more and more frequently. At graduation, my boyfriend finally laid it all out. When you're with me, you're always talking about that little follower of yours. I can't take it anymore. Either you make him leave, or we break up. I had never tolerated being threatened by anyone in my life, so I chose to break up. After that, he went abroad. One night, drunk, Alex and I ended up together. Those years were incredibly sweet. They were the happiest times of my life, but happiness is always fleeting. Under pressure from both families, it was decided that I would marry Simon as part of a business alliance. I fought with my parents many times. In the end, they used Alex to threaten me. If I agreed, Alex could remain by my side, as my men in the shadows. We would live a secret, behind-the-scenes married life within my family. Any children we had would still inherit the family business. That had been the plan from the very beginning. After all, I was the only daughter. The bloodline couldn't end. If I didn't agree, Alex would lose his value entirely, and would be discarded. So, under my parents' pressure and my friends' persuasion, I slowly accepted reality. But the moment my wedding ended, Alex disappeared. I searched for him like a madwoman. When I finally learned where he was already married. His wife was the very girl who had once confessed to him with a drone. The next day, I desperately tried to win him back, but he spoke gently, just as he always had, talking about his life with his wife. It was obvious that he loved her deeply. She was already 3 months pregnant. I knew then that there was no longer any possibility for us. From that day on, I threw myself completely into my work. When I had free time, I would secretly look in on him from afar. As long as I saw him happy, smiling, living well, I felt content. Slowly, their family of 3 became 4, then 5. Sometimes, I imagined myself in the role of the woman by his side, wondering what life would have been like. This life, this is how it ends. In the next one, I won't let go again.